There is always a little bit of confusion about the level of insurance that you need when you rent a car in Italy. And in this video, we'll tell you all you need to know about the different level of insurance that you can have, what works best, also to avoid possible scams, like the one I will tell you later on in the video. But first thing first, an important disclaimer, I'm not an insurance advisor, which means all you will find in this video is only and purely based on my personal experience. Now let's start from an insurance which is always provided by law from the rental companies. This is the third-party liability insurance, or TPL, and this covers the damages to other people or other properties in case you cause the accident. So you don't need to worry about that, it's always included in your rental. Just have a double check to be sure, you never know. The second level of insurance, which is typically provided by the rental company but it's not mandatory, is the collision damage waiver, CDW, or loss damage waiver, LDW. This covers the damages of your rented car even if you cause the accident. Typically the collision damage waiver has a deductible which is between 2,000 and 5,000 euros. So if you give back the car with the bodywork damage, you will have to pay up to this deductible. The wording for few insurance may be different. Instead of deductible, it's excess, but ultimately this is the amount of money that you would be out of pocket in case of any damage to your rented car. Just be aware that even a small bump or a scratch, which is not that untypical here in Italy because of the narrow lanes and the tiny space when you park a car, can cost you up to 300 to 500 euros, which sometimes is even more than the cost of a rent by itself. Now the good news is that you can add an insurance to cover even this excess or deductible, but we will talk later about it. Another important insurance to be aware is the theft insurance. Now, Italy is not known to be the safest country in the world, but honestly, if you're thinking about driving uniquely in the countryside, for example in the beautiful Tuscany, probably you don't really need the theft protection, especially because most of the time you're gonna park the car inside a typical Italian farm, so with plenty of space, basically a place you can really trust. But if you're thinking about driving in the major cities like Milan, Rome, Turin, Naples, Palermo, then I would always include the theft protection, especially if you're planning street parking. Now just be aware that also the theft insurance includes an excess, similarly to what you have for the collision damage waiver, and that's the amount of money that you have to pay anyway, which is typically between 500 and 3,000 euros. Another insurance that you can do is the super collision damage waiver, also called zero excess insurance or full insurance. Basically, this insurance is going to cover any excess that you may have in the collision damage waiver and also in the theft insurance. I personally do this insurance every time I rent a car in Italy. Once again, because it's not unusual to scratch the car, especially when you park the car in a supermarket parking area, which is very, very tiny, or if you plan to visit small villages with a super narrow streets. Now, the good news is that you may have actually this insurance already on your credit card. So check out the travel insurance including the credit card, which may cover this excess. I have, for example, one on my insurance back in Australia, but unfortunately there is an excess on excess. But at least it's going to reduce the excess of 5,000, 3,000 euros to only 500 euros. The other possibility is to buy this full insurance directly at the counter of a rental company, but expect to pay between 20 and 50 euros per day, which may be actually more than the cost of the rental itself. And finally, the way that I've been using actually quite a lot in the last few years is to buy this full insurance directly on a comparison website that I typically use to get the best deals around. This website works like an Airbnb for cars, so it's very, very handy. And the insurance costs only between 8 to 10 euros per day, so it's a fantastic bargain, especially if you rent the car, 1 week or less. Now, an important tip here, just be aware that it's very, very rare that a full insurance covers also the interior of the car. So make sure whenever you pick up a car and you drop off a car to take pictures and make a video of both the interior and the exterior, so you have a proof of the status before and after you deliver back the car, just in case of any trouble, because a cigarette burn can cost you actually several hundred euros, and this is something you want to avoid because maybe you don't even smoke. Another important thing to know is that it doesn't matter if you have a full insurance, the rental company is going to try to upsell their own special full insurance made for Italy or made for Tuscany or made for Sicily. Based on my experience in the past, the full insurance honestly is full insurance. So what I usually do if I radio organizer had full insurance, I typically print it so I can show it to the rental company, and I'm gonna save plenty of time. And as I said, I always do pictures of the car before and after, because even if I have a full insurance, I really want to avoid any argument when I drop off the car and possibly any lengthy documentation to fill in. And this is pretty much it about rental car insurance. Once again, I want to add a disclaimer that I'm not an insurance advisor, and everything you have learned here into this video, it's about my experience and my knowledge through the years of rental and driving a car here in Italy. So remember to subscribe to the channel, put a like if you appreciated all of the information into this video, and I see you in the next one.